Hey all you lovely people out there. I'm in North America right now for BlizzCon and BlizzCon opening week. I've been casting the Heroes Global Championship, and tomorrow BlizzCon will begin, where I will be doing more casting and analysis for the HGC. There's going to be some awesome matches coming up, but this video is going to be about a little bit of an update about my life, update about this trip. And there's also been a Heroes of the Storm balance patch yesterday, November the 1st, and I'd like to give you my thoughts on that. And finally, any new information that is interesting to me and to you guys as Blizzard Games players, be it Warcraft news, Hearthstone, but in particular of course as well Heroes of the Storm. I'm going to be presenting that to you and giving you my thoughts on that as well. Hopefully you're lucky enough to visit the BlizzCon yourself, or maybe you have a virtual ticket. But if not, I'll tell you everything that was new about Heroes of the Storm, hopefully in another video update somewhere in the weekend. By the time you see this video, it's going to be maybe an hour away from everything being unveiled at BlizzCon, some of the new releases, whatever's coming. I don't know anything yet now, so I can't tell you anything at this moment. For the rest, if you are a regular Twitch stream viewer, miss you guys, man. You know, I haven't been streaming for a bit because of my trip here in America, but I'm looking very much forward to getting right back into it and also making more YouTube videos. Luckily, we've been having one video every day on YouTube at least, so hopefully you've been enjoying that. After BlizzCon, I also have a few days of a little road trip, little vacation to check out some cool sites in America, so nice to get a bit of much needed vacation after some of the work here that we've been doing for HGC. For now, without further ado, let's go take a look at the patch notes of yesterday and to kind of share my thoughts about it, what I think it could mean for some of the heroes and their respective strengths. So November 1st, balanced patch note. Normally we do this from home, but you know, I happen to be here, so let's do it from here. I followed the developments with much interest. So you should be seeing that here now on account of post-production editing, the scrolling. So it's going to be changes to Junkrat, Raynor, Tychus, Valla, Zul'jin, Azmodan, Zagara, Kharazim, Stukov, Garrosh, Leoric and Muradin. So let's take a look at what Blizzard has in store for us. And of course these balance patches are already live, so whenever you're playing the game now, you'll be already playing with these changes. Let's see how we can use those to our advantage. So Junkrat is going to be getting a small health buff, a damage buff to his Q as well, the frag launcher. And we can see that Taste for Explosions quest will get a little bit downscaled. We can see 11 extra damage on the frag launcher, so that's about 10% bonus base damage. The quest will give a little bit more, but it should make him slightly stronger in the early game. We can also see that the level 4 quests, the requirement for the trap has been reduced a bit, a little bit more damage on the W quest, and then Sticky Wicket. I'm not sure it's really a talent worth investing, even with the small buff that it's gotten here of half a second. I'm still very much leaning towards you know, as much grenade talents as possible. But a buff is a buff and I'll take it. Junkrat came out and was released to quite below 50% win rate, but I do think he's the kind of hero that requires a little bit more practice to get more proficient with. As he is right now, I think Junkrat is very strong post level 10, his heroic is quite good, either one which you take, however it shakes out which one is going to be the best as well, be it the rocket or the riptire. But I think level 16 with spread volley, where your grenade launches into 3 different grenades, is where Junkrat really hits his stride. Whether that build in particular got buffed now, I would say not in particular, because by that time you would normally have a number of level 4 quest stacks, but at the very least we can say that his early game is better, and once you get to 16 he's good anyway. The cool thing about the spread launcher talent, my favorite at 16, is that you're more likely to hit people. There's more zoning, and if you launch them point blank, all 3 grenades will hit on the same target, and that is a massive burst. And it makes Junkrat worthy of his categorical name, Assassin. Moving on to one of my favorite assassins from the game, Raynor. He gets a small cooldown buff to Adrenaline Rush, 10 seconds. You can use it more often. It doesn't help you where Raynor gets bursted before his Adrenaline Rush even procs. It has a very low threshold, I believe it's 15%. So that part doesn't help, but you can combine it with the level 4 to have a very short cooldown indeed. Plus, if you take the talent at 7 for fight or flight, you can activate it when you want. And that one in particular gives you a lot of control over both the resistance period as well as the healing itself. So while I do think that makes Raynor better, I'm a firm believer that every auto attacker, be they ranged or melee, require movement speed increase. Zul'jin needs this, Raynor needs this, Grayman and Valla have it. And without Revolution Overdrive, the level 7 talent, I don't think Raynor is a real hero. I don't think you can pick him in a serious draft without Revolution Overdrive. So I don't think these talents will really bring Raynor too much back into the meta. A buff is a buff, don't think it's enough. Tychus gets a little bit of a buff to his basic attack damage and his overkill. But I did hear reports that he had a stealth nerf to his overkill of 25% minus damage. Now he gets small buffs, as you can see here, 3 damage, primary damage. If that report is true, then his overkill is still weaker than it was, say, half a year ago. Still, although I do think that he's in a great place, it makes him slightly more playable. And another cool thing I've been wanting to try out, and maybe you'll see it when my stream continues 13 November onwards, I've been wanting to try Master Assassin and Odin build. Master Assassin is the level 4 talent that gives you bonus attack speed after every takedown permanently. Doesn't go away when you die either. And then that actually buffs Odin's attack speed as well, which is an interaction I wasn't previously familiar with. So that's kind of cool, and it's something that I've been wanting to try out. Valla and Grayman are the top 2 assassins right now. This is also backed up by the HGC data, the highest level professional play in the world. Valla and Grayman are the quintessential solo assassins when it comes to solo assassin. They're very mobile, they have burst, and they have sustained damage. Her Hungering Arrow build is the best. It gets nerfed. I think that's decently fair, though I would also like to see this being combined with buffs to the lesser ranged assassins, like Raynor and Tychus, which they are getting, but I don't think it's enough to catch them up to Valla, despite this nerf. No doom and gloom for Valla users, except the level 13 talent, of course, but at least it is I think it's a fair nerf. Zul'jin. Used to be one of my favorite heroes. Rework comes. I've been fairly critical of the nerf to the level 13 Eye of Zul'jin talent. Used to be 1Q is 25% move speed. Now 9 attacks is 27% move speed. It takes a lot longer to get there, plus it's ramping up variable movement speed, which is not great. It's much harder to get used to do effective stutter stepping when every single attack you're 3% faster. As we can see here at the level 13, it now gets 6% move speed instead of 3% per auto attack. That makes it a lot better. It means 5 attacks is 30% move speed, which is 5% more than what it used to be pre-rework, but it's still 4 hits to get 24% move speed, which is what you used to get with a single Q. Still with me? Old one, 1Q, 25%, now 4 auto attacks is 24%. Still takes a lot longer to get 4 auto attacks than a single Q. Though autos can't miss, Q can miss. So maybe it balances out. It's a much needed buff, and I do think this will make it my primary choice at 13, even over Ensnare and Lacerate, which is the up to 60% slow. Auto attackers, ranged, need their movement speed. And then let's talk about, you can see the rest of the buffs. I don't want to talk too much about it. It's nice little buffs to the least used talents. I think that's good. Viability comes from versatility, often. But just to kind of talk about where Zul'jin AA has reached, I didn't expect him to be viable competitively, and the entire HTC base here agrees as we interviewed them for the tournament, the grand finals of the entire year. You can't guarantee a Headhunter 5 stacks to get one unique kill on every unique enemy hero. So you never will get that Kharazim 7.7 range that he's supposed to be able to get from 2 different quests. And then, yeah, he still doesn't have that movement speed and burst that Grubby and Valla can offer. Still, he's an interesting hero. He will always have a spot in my heart, but I don't know if this will bring him to my top played heroes. Moving on here, as you can see, Azmodan. So for Azmodan, that's a pretty big one. General Hell will no longer give health to minions and mercs, which used to be very strong for pushes. Does get more damage. I'll tell you 2 things how that changes Azmodan. It makes Azmodan accompanied pushes with General of Hell and a minion wave stronger, especially when you tank tower shots with Demon Warriors, which you can summon on location. So Azmodan needs to kind of be there to offer extra tankiness, let's say. It makes unsupported and undefended offlane pushes with General of Hell potentially quite strong, because they deal more damage, as you can see, 10% more damage, but they don't have that 50% health anymore. So it is weaker against defending heroes, defending against offlanes. They can clear lanes faster. So like this. And then the nerf to Sieging Wrath. 30 hits required instead of 25, and only 90 damage instead of 100. So 2 little nerfs to that as well. It's most popular and best level 1 talent. What that means, split push will get a little bit weaker, and people can wave clear it faster. I think that's okay. I think actually Azmodan is secretly the #1 Hero League hero, to a degree. Probably together with what most people are thinking is Garrosh. And so that is, that's a pretty big deal, pretty decent nerf to split push. So moving on to Zagara. Zagara's Nidus network is receiving a similar treatment. This is a split push heroic, and just like Azmodan's General of Hell, it's receiving, in this case, an unmitigated nerf. 40 seconds extra cooldown on the Nidus network will be able to let you play a lot less Nidus networks. The maximum charges you can have is 10. The usual amount you'll typically see Zagaras have is between 2 to 5 probably in any given game. So it does take some time to set up and get the auto attacks out to CDR enough to get enough Niduses. So what this is, again, is a message by Blizzard, and we don't have the developers comment yet, that they want the split push to be weaker. 2 quick snapshots. Snapshot on Hero League. Split push is really strong. People don't wave clear enough. People don't defend split pushes enough. It is annoying to deal with, but it is an alternative strategy that some parts of the player base do enjoy. Should it be stronger? Should it be weaker? I don't know. There are counters in draft against Zagara and Azmodan. Good wave clearers, globals, you know, snipers that can take out the Zagara or the Azmodan before they are able to pull back from a split push. For example, your Genjis, Falstaffs, even Grayman or Thrall may be able to do that. Personally, I don't begrudge it too much, the nerfing of these things, but I do think people that enjoy it will feel like it is quite a pity. Plus, I always look for the explanation in it, and we don't have one yet, so it is what it is, I guess. Moving on to Kharazim here. This is an interesting one, because Kharazim has 3 traits which are supposed to be viable under different circumstances, but we only ever see Iron Fist being taken, even when Kharazim is the only support. So now Iron Fist is going to have 5% less move speed, and that same movement speed will be embedded in the other 2 traits. So now Iron Fist is no longer the reason you no longer have to take Iron Fist just for its move speed. And why does he need that move speed? Well, he needs to dodge all the AoE damage, the stuns, and get out before he gets taken out. So Insight right now is very overperforming, I feel like, once you complete the quest, but it does take a long time until you get there. 100 third hits, that's 300 auto attacks. And it it's true what Team Liquid Splendor said about it, which is, he said, Insight forces you to play Kharazim in a different way than you normally would. More solo mercenary camps, more risk-taking, hitting enemy heroes, more minion wave clearing, all things that Kharazim isn't really good at. So you'll be playing differently than you normally would like to. But there is a really huge upswing to completing that quest. And while it may be not viable to go inside at pro play, which I do think there's something to be said for it, I think in Hero League these talents tend to perform better. Because anytime someone is stimulated to do more wave clear, more mercenary camp capture, even if it is a character that's ill-suited to do so, like Kharazim, I still think that's a good thing. And so I think this is, right now, Insight is a strong talent. 1.75 second CDR per auto attack, the third one. Mana gain. I personally believe for Hero League, Insight will be number 1, Iron Fist number 2, and Transcendence number 3. And that's because Iron Fist is damage, always good, kill heroes. Insight is you can be prepping your next W heal on your allies, on a wall, on a minion or something, whereas Transcendence needs to be done in the heat of battle. So in order to heal people that are taking damage, you need to be right next to them to punch something, generally a hero, generally a warrior, to get that heal on that person. When you do that, you'll take bonus damage from any AoE, from stuns, so you'll be putting yourself in the dangerous thick of things. So I don't think Transcendence is working that well for game style. Insight definitely is different than Iron Fist, but I think it's viable. Moving on to Stukov. Recently got a healing nerf and a health nerf, now brings his healing a little bit back up again. I think it's fair. Stukov doesn't see as much play now, either at pro play or on the ladder. Garrosh is the much maligned early hero that gets so easy pickoffs. He gets a nerf which should make Garrosh haters rejoice. I believe his ban rate is through the roof on Hero League, but it's a small nerf and it's to a level 16 talent, so I don't think it's enough to placate the hordes of Garrosh haters, no pun intended. Leoric, Entombed, is the worst heroic now, I would say, than March of the Black King. Gets a small buff, 10 second CDR, so I think that's a good change. I do think Leoric is strong, so the question is, does he need it? Leoric is not as good of a solo laner now as he used to be, but what we see and what we can learn from pro play, he's being used in a double warrior setup to make your other warrior nigh unkillable. So by using Spooky Shrink Walk, let's call it, because I don't know the real name, the one where you go through people to reduce their damage, if you combine that with another frontliner like Muradin, unkillable. Everyone's damage is reduced and he's there smacking people with his hammer. And this is how Leoric is generally being used right now, at pro play at least. So you shouldn't see him as much as a double laner anymore. But then you can see they made his double laning a little bit better as well with new Peasant's buff. So probably, definitely a little bit of a nice buff to Leoric. Small things, but I would say quite a mainstay. You still don't want to draft him in some situations, but quite good. Now Muradin just had a rework. The biggest one here, as you can see, is Heavy Impact. Used to be a half-second stun, now it's going to be an 80% slow for 3/4 second. In terms of total delay of someone reaching point A to B, it's a little bit more delay than a half-second stun does, 80% slow for 3/4 seconds. But obviously you don't have the interrupt effect. Still, this Heavy Impact makes your follow-up Stormbolt very easy to hit, but now no longer guaranteed, which is what the old Heavy Impact was doing. Stun jump, guaranteed stun, follow-up Stormbolt, too easy, too good, and at level 7 already. Muradin was strong, that's why he's the #1 hero right now at the Blizzard HCC Finals tournament. I think this is a good change, because now there's more counterplay. You can teleport away, you can dash, you can use that 20% move speed to dodge, so it's a good change. The others aren't as interesting to me now, and I want to be moving on to the rest. Kerrigan gets a bug fix here. Actually, my two favorite talents at those tiers, Fury of the Storm and Double Strike, apparently, and I think if you read this, Trigger, the double strike talent after learning Fury, no longer causes the next basic to deal more than intended cleave to the secondary target. So from the looks of it, double strike should not be getting the crit on both elements for Fury of the Swarm. So before you also crit splash thanks to the bonus auto attack damage, and apparently that's not intended. They call it a bug. I think it was dubious from the way it was written, but now from the looks of it, they do classify that as a bug. So this is a nerf to my Kerrigan build, and she's my most played hero in this Hero League season. So rip Kerrigan splash damage in team fights, and rip Kerrigan split push build, and indeed any build, because I always use these for whether I'm going Maelstrom or Ultralisk Tauros split push build. So that's too bad. It is a bit of a nerf in that sense, but I don't think it pushes her out of the playable by any means. And then the rest is just kind of bug fixes that for the most part people weren't really known with. Finally, the Zul'jin one. Read it. Troll's Blood Talent will now correctly restore 10% of Zul'jin's max mana when regen channeling completes. This is because if you actually don't have the full amount of regen to heal, it would stop prematurely, but it would be counting it as channeling not complete because you don't get the full healing. So you wouldn't get the 10% mana component, and now you always will. And finally, as you can see at the top, which I missed before, Chain Lightning and other things will now bounce to things outside of allied vision, which was actually a big hurdle to completing Crash Lightning and to getting some cool bounce on the gate kills on heroes that are behind enemy gates. So it's nice that that's fixed. Finally we can try to start stacking that most elusive of Thrall level 1 quests, Crash Lightning. So maybe he'll be once again a little bit more viable. I have a pretty decent win rate with him on this season, but I stopped playing him because of the bug. So I might see him again more. That's all for now for the balance patch notes. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will do my best, despite a very busy schedule coming up for HGC at Blizzcon, to give you another update about all the cool new exciting changes that are undoubtedly going to be coming to Heroes of the Storm at Blizzcon. Plus any other changes that might interest me and possibly you in regards to Blizzcon as a whole. Thanks for watching. My NA trip will continue a little bit more, and my more recent YouTube videos will be once again returning on November 13th, as well as my Twitch streams. Have a lovely BlizzCon, have a lovely everything, have a great day, great night wherever you are, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching, bye, cheers! Runic Glass, cooldown, Runic Gauntlet, basic attack. Heroics, oh wow, okay. I think I interrupted everything.
A killing blow.
Nice.